But there's something that we hear a lot in the news recently. We see increasingly in the news is not just content that's been posted, but content that is streaming real time. So there have been incidences in the U.S. recently of shootings being live streamed to social media platforms, and so this happening in real time, that must add an extra layer of complexity to some of the work that you're doing.
Absolutely. There's been like horrific instances of live streaming in the US and elsewhere. And so there's a couple of ways to approach that. One of which is that we can put really, really small content moderation models sort of on the edge device, right? So that does sort of something basic to catch sort of the blatant stuff, and then raise it up for human review. Because I think in these cases of live streams, it's tricky. We're still learning the space, and we would want someone to just like, if we flag it, to take a look at it. Maybe err on the side of flagging too much and then having someone take a look at it. Again, it's a business question of like, what's the platform? What are we looking for? And so have some sort of like detector of, I don't know, gunshots, or of something that a small lean model edge device able to flag it right away. We can also do something where we are, once the content makes it to the servers, sample frame. Like there's a question of like, what do you want to moderate? Like every single frame? Do you want to sample every minute, every second? Like at what? There's a huge question. I think what makes this so challenging is just the scale, right? You have like so much data streaming in, and then do the same thing, sample, and then look for maybe more complex things, right? So those are sort of like the typical things, and that's where you're really focusing on the content itself, right? That's coming in. But a lot of these times when you're live streaming something like this, then the perpetrator may have like pre-shared this somewhere. There's people that are joining the stream, that are commenting, and now suddenly you have a much richer source of information, right? You can look at who are the other users, who is the user that's streaming, what else have they streamed in the past, what other groups have they been in, what are people writing in the comments, like, and so forth. And suddenly now you might be able to catch it, or at least flag it, just from the surrounding information, right? Like there's enough indicators of risk from the things that are around it, where sure, you want to moderate the content, you want to look at it and so forth. However, you would want to basically look at the other markers of risk around the content itself to make your job easier and faster and more efficient.
Gotcha. So it obviously is more complex to be moderating harmful content when you're thinking about it in a real time situation. But as you point out, having smaller threat detection models on the edge device, so on mobile phones, maybe on laptops, being able to detect these issues in real time and potentially flag those to the social media platform. And then also, once the real-time data is reaching the servers of these platforms, you can be sampling at some appropriate interval in order to be trying to detect whether harmful content. So yeah, it's the sound of gunshots, and then so it can be reviewed as to whether this is like video game gunshots or not, and then something. So probably in a circumstance like that, whether it's real-world gunshots or video game gunshots, we're going to be able to tell more easily because of the contextual information that surrounds that. So the kind of text that people post in response is probably going to be quite different and classifiably different in a video game where there might be more like, well, I don't want to even speculate
Yeah,
on what the kinds of things.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say that
But
if we're thinking about it, and like I'm kind of thinking out loud, and like refining a bit what I said earlier, is that so you have something on the edge device that does like more basic, like a smaller model that does more basic content moderation, and then instead of it flagging a human, like remember that everything is making it to the cloud, and so we're sampling, and so things that have been flagged by the edge device can then either have like more like different, like more tightly spaced samples, or can have more deeper analysis on it. Like it's basically a funnel, right? And again, it depends what you discover on the edge device. Like maybe you might want to right away flag it to user and be like, listen, like this is not something that is very likely to be in the gray zone. And then also, you can look at the surrounding content. You don't need to wait for the content to be uploaded to the server or anything, right? Like you have the surrounding content. It's like text and who the user is, and like where, do we recognize this user? Where else have they posted before? Where the users that are commenting, like where else are they? And this is where actually like a graphical data model comes in handy, right? Because now you have all these relations between users, and you can see like what have they liked before, what groups are they in, who have they interacted with, and so forth. And then If these are people that are known to us, then we can say, well, actually, like this is a user that if we see them here, this is it adds to the probability of risk.